until somebody derails him. Look now, and here comes Kane. And Kane's going to go right after. Oh!
He's out. Cook is out. Oh my gosh. So you want to chase me around? Western Canadian kid. He's thrown him before, but he wasn't going to take on a guy like Goddard. Wow. That was a right cross that crossed him up.
Now Kane's bonnet is off too, and they're against the glass. Oh, Kane throws a couple of rights over top. Petrovic took a bit of a breather, and Kane popped him. Stuffed by the long though is Evander Kane, who's had one scrap with Petrovic, and they line up again, and here they go again. Petrovic with left hands, round two, down to the corner, down goes Petrovic. They're going to go again. Are they going to go again?
Yes, they are.
All right, the hat trick as far as scraps go. Round three. Lands another one. Kane keeps throwing. Petrovic goes down again. Kane throws it down. Goes Petrovic for the third time.
Evander Frank Kane, quite the polarizing figure to say the least. I know it might be hard to remember a time when Kane's name was brought up in a positive light, but once upon a time, Kane was once a promising prospect who looked like the next star power forward in the making. He hit, he went to the front of the net, he fought, and he dominated in his major junior career. Kane was a superstar for his hometown Vancouver Giants of the Western Hockey League. He won the Memorial Cup with the Giants in 2007. Additionally, he set the Giants' franchise record for single-season goals in 2009. On the international stage, Kane has been a valuable member of Team Canada as well, winning gold medals at the 2008 Ivan Hlinka Memorial Tournament and the 2009 World Junior Championships. He also represented Canada in the 2010, 11, 12, and 14 IIHF World Championships. These are some things you might already know about Evander Kane, but there's much more to the story. From being an NHL rising star, to becoming a controversial figure in Winnipeg, to going full-on douchebag in Buffalo, arguably to the point of no return. Filled with more ups and downs than a damn roller coaster, by the time Kane did get to San Jose in his career, it really looked like we were witnessing an all-time crash out. Filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in San Jose just marked another low point for Kane, followed by a tumultuous period filled with out-of-context videos, alleged gambling rumors, and a trip to Crazy Town. Yet despite all of these challenges, as you're about to see, he would manage to have a breakout playoff run alongside the greatest player alive. Sit back and enjoy, boys. Let's see how a promising star turned into a crash dummy for a period of time and sort of redeemed himself. And I use that word loosely here. Our story begins in Vancouver. Born on August 2nd, 1991, Evander Kane was raised by parents who emphasized the importance of academic achievement. His dad, Perry, would teach him the basic fundamentals of hockey before he would even start playing in organized leagues. While his father, Perry, wanted him to wait until he was 10 to start playing hockey, he just loved the game too much. So when he was 8, his mother, Sherry, would sign him up without the knowledge of his father. Evander would grow up in a household with limited income, so much so that he would have to share a bedroom with his two sisters, Bree and Kyla, throughout his childhood. Despite these challenges, his family was a strong unit. His parents were athletically gifted, and their backgrounds influenced Kane significantly. His mom was a professional volleyball player, and his father played Junior A hockey and was an amateur boxer. And he loved boxing so much, he named his son Evander after Evander Holyfield, something Kane takes great pride in. From the moment he started playing organized hockey, Kane knew he had what it took to succeed, despite the hard work required. He had an outstanding junior career with the Vancouver Giants, where he was known for his physicality, scoring ability, and exceptional stick handling. Evander Kane's journey into the hockey world began when he was drafted 19th overall in the 2006 WHL Bantam Draft by the Vancouver Giants. Kane would receive his first WHL call-up on December 13, 2006, at just the age of 15 for a game against the Seattle Thunderbirds, filling in for other Giants players committed to the World Juniors at the time. Kane later appeared in 2 playoff games for the Giants, recording an assist as a part of the 2007 Memorial Cup championship team. As Kane prepared for his rookie season with the Giants, he faced a minor setback, missing the start of training camp due to mononucleosis. Despite this, he made a full recovery and joined the Giants full-time, scoring 24 goals, which was third on the team in scoring, and 41 points in his first WHL season. Evander had a remarkable start to the 2009 season, recording at least a point in each of his first 22 games. Fast forward a few weeks and Kane would secure a spot as an injury replacement at the 2009 World Junior Championships with Team Canada. Upon returning with a gold medal, Kane would conclude his second WHL season with 48 goals and 96 points, ranking 4th in the league scoring. He broke Adam Corchay's team record of 43 goals in a single season set in 2003. In the 2009 playoffs, after the Giants swept the Prince George Cougars out of the first round, Kane scored a double overtime game winner in the second round against the Spokane Chiefs, forcing a 7th game. The Giants would eliminate the Chiefs in that game 7, but end up being defeated by the Kelowna Rockets in 6 games in the semifinals. Regardless, Evander was now one of the most sought-after prospects following his incredible run with Vancouver. Kane was chosen 4th overall by the Atlanta Thrashers and signed an entry-level contract with the team on July 20th, 2009. Less than a month later, the 19-year-old Evander Kane made the Thrashers lineup out of training camp. And on October 8th, he scored his first NHL goal, beating Chris Mason with a snapshot in a 4-2 win over the St. Louis Blues. For the most part, Evander Kane's rookie season was a success. He didn't look out of place whatsoever. However, late in the season, Kane would suffer a bone fracture while blocking a shot in a game against Tampa, causing him to miss 15 games. Kane finished his NHL rookie campaign with 14 goals and 26 points in 66 games, ranking 12th among first-year point scorers. He would even finish 9th in Calder Trophy voting. But his most memorable moment by far was when the young Evander Kane knocked out the most hated player in the league at the time in Matt Cook, making his father and the real deal proud in every way. After a very strong rookie season, Kane would face a series of setbacks during his sophomore NHL campaign. He was hit with the injury bug, and it seemed like every other week Kane was getting hurt in 2011. Despite missing some time, he managed to increase his points total to 45, with 19 goals and 24 assists, ranking 5th in the team in scoring and 3rd among forwards. And it started to look like the future face of this franchise might just be Evander Kane. But the franchise wouldn't be staying in Atlanta for much longer. During the off-season of 2011, the Atlanta Thrashers were bought and relocated by True North Sports and Entertainment, becoming the new Winnipeg Jets. And maybe it was being closer to home, but Kane was enjoying a successful first season as a Jet, leading his team in scoring with 18 goals and 31 points by mid-January. Kane would have his breakout season in 2012, recording 30 goals and 57 points. On September 15, 2012, Evander Kane inked a 6-year, $31.5 million contract extension with the Jets, a no-brainer move. This kid was only going to improve from here. The Jets are a young team, and Kane is going to lead this new regime into the playoffs. Well, that was the thought at first. 2012 would actually end up being Evander Kane's most productive season as of the 2024 offseason. Following 2012, the next 10 years for Kane were filled with wasted potential, self-destruction, and almost nothing to do with actually playing hockey. That ultimately stunted his growth as a hockey player and prevented him from ever reaching that next level. Well, this next part of the story is about to get greasy, folks. And if you're still watching, make sure to like and subscribe. The first red flag in Kane's behavior surfaced during the 2012-13 NHL lockout when he joined Dynamo Minsk of the KHL, becoming the first Canadian NHL player to sign with the league. But after just 12 games and only recording 1 goal, Kane was released. The Dynamo Club athletic director hinted that Kane could not adapt to hockey in the KHL and was unwilling to change his game. though it was officially stated that the contract was mutually terminated. A small incident for sure, but it was the first time that the public really saw Kane being a quote-unquote me guy. Once play did resume in the NHL, Kane notched 17 goals and 33 points in 48 games for the Jets. But in 2014, it became clear to the public just the type of guy Kane really was. On the ice, his numbers regressed as the Jets were still looking very mediocre. On April 3rd, 2014, Evander Kane would give the Jets the most press they've had all year, when Kane faced accusations of assault following an incident in Vancouver, leading to a lawsuit for financial damages. Just 2 days later, on April 5th, Kane found himself as a healthy scratch under new head coach Paul Maurice in a game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Maurice, when asked about this, described it as a coach's decision and hinted that Kane's return to the lineup depended on his attitude, saying he should probably focus on just coming to the rink. Kane was skating on thin ice with the Jets organization, and he was now in the coach's doghouse. In Kane's defense, he was only a 23-year-old at the time. His brain wasn't even fully developed yet. The hope by many was that Kane would end up maturing with time, kind of like the goated Kane. He was once an immature kid too, who had a lot of growing up to do before he went on to become the greatest American-born player of all time.
This is unbelievable. I'll tell you one thing, I'll try to keep my shirt on all summer, just for you guys. For all the cab drivers out there, I love you.
Kane made a really dumb decision that really tarnished his reputation around the league. Situations like this reveal a person's true character, showing whether they will learn from their mistakes and grow, or let those mistakes define them and lead to more serious consequences. For Kane, it looked like he was starting to spiral a little bit. On February 3rd, 2015, Kane was once again a healthy scratch. This absence stemmed from an undisclosed incident with his teammates. Reflecting on his tumultuous time with Winnipeg, in an October 2015 interview, Kane expressed that he felt abandoned by the team during his legal and behavioral troubles, believing that they truly saw trading him as the only way to offload their problem. And Kane's departure from Winnipeg was messy. Once the promising young talent for the franchise, on February 11th, 2015, Evander Kane was traded to the Buffalo Sabres. Maybe the most notable incident which led to Kane's departure occurred when Big Dustin Byfuglien confronted Kane. The story goes that Kane arrived late to a team event wearing a tracksuit, violating the NHL's dress code, which required players to wear jackets, ties, and dress pants. Frustrated by Kane's disregard for team standards, Byfuglien, known for his strong sense of loyalty to his teammates, responded by tossing Kane's clothes in the shower. An unconventional action by Buff for sure, but it showed his commitment to maintaining team discipline and solidarity, something a me guy like Kane never showed in Winnipeg. And I don't think it's a coincidence that once Winnipeg traded Kane, they had an amazing end to the season and ended up making the playoffs. This really started a downward trajectory for Evander Kane. His time in Buffalo is most remembered for the accusations and off-ice antics that followed him. Buffalo was a shit show at the time. Okay, Buffalo is a shit show. Kane would spend 3 years in Buffalo playing pretty decent hockey. But again, he would continue to regress from his promising breakout season in 2012. But Kane was about to get hit with something far worse than regression. Following his first year in Buffalo, Kane would face accusations that still haunt him to this day. Far worse than any gambling addiction accusations could. Another troubling chapter in Evander Kane's career and personal life unfolded on July 1st, 2016, when he was sued by a 21-year-old woman who accused him of assaulting her in his hotel room. Court documents revealed that the woman claimed Kane had met her in a bar, invited her to what he described as a party, and then attacked her, causing cuts and bleeding that required multiple surgeries. Further complications arose on August 1st, 2016, when Kane pled not guilty to 1 count of criminal trespassing and 4 counts of non-criminal harassment following separate altercations at a downtown Buffalo bar in June of 2016. Police reports detailed a confrontation involving Kane at Bottoms Up Bar, where he allegedly engaged in a fight with a bouncer after attempting to force a woman into a car. Another report described an incident inside the nightclub where Kane reportedly grabbed a woman's arm and tried to push her outside. Kane turned himself into Buffalo police in late July 2016. Kane's new GM, Tim Murray, would comment on the situation, stating, "Whether he has done these things or not, or he's guilty of these things or not, it's not something I like getting up in the morning and reading about, that's for sure." Just before all of this had taken place, another incident occurred. Kane was suspended for missing practice after attending the NBA All-Star Game in Toronto. After reportedly binge drinking the entire night, he shot Dan Bilesma a text in the morning letting him know he wouldn't be attending practice. And GM Tim Murray wasn't done laying into Kane. He called it detrimental to both the player and the Sabres organization. The bottoms-up case was eventually adjourned and dismissed under an adjournment, meaning the case was postponed for over 6 months and the charges would be dismissed if Kane demonstrated good behavior during this time. It's always innocent until proven guilty. I try and always get that message across whenever I'm doing a video on a controversial player like Kane. Kane was never charged in any of these cases, but when you keep constantly seeing patterns continue over and over again and hear similar stories from different people, it does make you wonder. As Kane's performance waned and his contract neared its end, the Sabres decided to bench Kane leading up to the 2018 trade deadline. For now the second time in his career, on February 26, 2018, Evander Kane was traded to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Danny O'Regan, a conditional first or second round pick in 2019, and a conditional fourth round pick. In his debut with the Sharks, Kane made an immediate impact, with 2 assists in a 5-2 victory over the Oilers. And for a brief moment in San Jose, it looked like Evander Kane was back on track. On March 16, 2018, he achieved his first NHL hat-trick against the Calgary Flames and even added a 4th goal. Over the course of the 2018 season, Kane played in 78 games, scoring 54 points, his highest number of games played in a single season and his second highest total of points in his career up to that point. And for the first time in his nearly 10-year career, Kane was finally headed to the playoffs. However, the excitement of playing playoff hockey quickly turned sour for Kane. On April 26, 2018, Kane was handed a 1-game suspension for cross-checking Vegas Golden Knights forward Pierre-Edouard Bellemare during Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals. Despite a decent showing with 4 goals and 5 points in 9 playoff games, Kane's performance was largely overshadowed by the cheap shot. On May 24, 2018, the Sharks still chose to re-sign him to a 7-year, $49 million contract with an annual salary of $7 million. Following the deal, Kane expressed his desire to remain with the Sharks for the rest of his career, and Kane had a great 2019 season. Evander Kane recorded 56 points, the second highest total of his career, and led the league in penalty minutes with 153. After having a relatively quiet 2019 compared to other years, in the 2019-20 preseason, Kane was suspended for the first 3 games of the regular season for abusing officials. 2 games after his return, he made history as the first player in Sharks franchise history to score a first-period hat-trick, leading the team to a 5-2 victory over the Hurricanes. Kane would be suspended yet again in 2020, and by the time of his second suspension of the year, he once again led the league in penalty minutes with 122 while tallying 26 goals and 47 points, marking his 5th consecutive season with at least 20 goals. Around the time of Kane's second suspension, the world would get hit with COVID, suspending play until further notice for sports leagues all across the world. When hockey would resume, aside from another decent year production-wise, it was almost like 2021 just wasn't Kane's year. You know how some people claim going into a certain new year that this year's gonna be my year? Well, Kane can definitely lay claim to having one of the most publicly embarrassing years in 2021. Now, I don't want to give this person much attention because clout is like this person's heroin. She will say/do anything to tarnish her ex-husband's name. Evander Kane's tumultuous 2021 began with explosive allegations from his estranged ex-wife on Instagram. She claimed Kane had a gambling addiction and was betting on his own games, deliberately throwing them. The NHL immediately launched an investigation into this case, ultimately finding no evidence that Kane had bet on his own games. However, in the same press release that cleared Kane, the NHL announced a second investigation into a slew of new claims from his ex-wife, including domestic and sexual abuse. Once again, the NHL found no substantiation for these claims. Yet, in this press release, the league handed Kane a 21-game suspension. For what, you might ask? Well, for violating COVID-19 protocols by submitting a fake vaccination card. Amid reports that the Sharks were trying to trade Kane now and that his teammates no longer wanted him on the team, Kane faced significant locker room friction. An unnamed source even told The Athletic that Kane's disregard for the team rules had caused considerable tension. When Kane's suspension ended in November, he was placed on waivers, cleared, and played 5 games with San Jose Barracuda in the AHL. And a month later, you can't even make this up, Kane would ironically test positive for COVID-19. And Kane would then violate protocol by flying to Vancouver before completing the mandatory 10-day isolation period. The Sharks placed him on waivers yet again, this time attempting to terminate his 7-year, $49 million contract he signed in 2018. But we're just getting started, I haven't even mentioned this yet. On November 4th, 2019, the Cosmopolitan Casino in Las Vegas sued Kane for walking out on a $500,000 gambling debt. The suit alleged that Kane had received $500,000 in gambling markers from the casino, while the Sharks were in town for a playoff series against the Vegas Golden Knights. These markers, essentially lines of credit, were given in 8 separate installments ranging from $20,000 to $100,000. The casino sought out full restitution plus repayment for legal fees, adding to his now $26.8 million in debt. Kane had no choice but to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Shortly after news broke of San Jose's efforts to terminate Kane's deal, reports began circulating that the struggling Edmonton Oilers were interested in signing him. You might be wondering why any team with morals or ethics would want to sign Kane, other than the Red Stars maybe? But the answer's simple. He's a physically imposing 30-goal scoring winger that teams could now get on the cheap. Sports is a business at the end of the day. And like Dana White would say, this is the sports business, not the feelings business. The Edmonton Oilers had started the season strongly, but entered a prolonged slump, dropping out of the playoffs by mid-season. As pressure mounted on general manager Ken Holland to improve this team's fortunes, Kane, being a proficient goal scorer, was seen as a potential solution for Edmonton. On January 27, 2022, Kane signed a 1-year contract with the Oilers. The decision to bring Kane in was met with some criticism, as expected, but none other than the greatest player in the world, Connor McDavid himself, defended the move. McDavid highlighted the opportunity for Kane to re-establish himself in the NHL, for, the 5th time, while providing the Oilers with a player of significant caliber to bolster their playoff ambitions. Kane would make an immediate impact, scoring the opening goal in his debut on January 29th, leading the Oilers to a 7-2 victory over the Canadiens. Throughout the regular season, Kane played predominantly on the top line alongside McDavid and Jesse Puljujarvi. His time with McDavid contributed to the highest shooting percentage of his career and notably improved the Oilers. Kane finished the season with 22 goals and 17 assists, helping the Oilers secure second place in the Pacific Division and a spot in the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. And to Kane's credit, his playoff performance was exceptional. Kane recorded his first playoff hat-trick in Game 3 of the first round against the Los Angeles Kings, scoring 7 goals in the series alone, more than he had in all previous playoff games combined. 2022 Evander Kane was pretty much the equivalent to 2024 Zach Hyman. The Oilers advanced to face the Calgary Flames in the second round, marking the first playoff battle of Alberta in 31 years. And Kane would dazzle with a natural hat-trick in just 6 minutes during Game 3 of the series. However, this is Kane we're talking about, and you just knew his 13 goals in 15 playoff games were going to be overshadowed by something stupid. In Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals against the Colorado Avalanche, Kane was assessed a 5-minute major for cross-checking Nazem Kadri, leading to Kadri's exclusion from the remainder of the series. Despite this setback, Kane had an amazing playoff run. Edmonton would sign Kane on July 12, 2022 to a 4-year, $20 million extension. And hey, if he puts it all on black, he might be making that San Jose money again. His 2023 season started strong with 5 goals and 8 assists in the first 14 games, but on November 8th, Kane suffered a severe wrist injury after being cut by the skate of Tampa Bay Lightning's Patrick Maroon. Kane underwent emergency surgery and was initially expected to miss 3 to 4 months. Fortunately for Kane, he made exceptional progress, allowing him to return to the lineup for a game against the Seattle Kraken on January 17, 2023. In 2024, Kane recorded 20 or more goals for the 9th time in his career, finishing with 24 goals and 44 points in 77 games, as well as 8 points in 20 playoff games on Edmonton's magical run and near historic Stanley Cup victory, where they almost pulled off their reverse sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers. Kane was sidelined for most of the Stanley Cup Finals, with hip issues only appearing in 2 games, much to the joy of his totally honest, not toxic or money-hungry ex-wife. As I wrap up this video, boys, it's clear that Evander Kane's story is far from over. At just 33 years old, he's still capable of scoring 20 to 30 goals each season, even though he often misses time due to injuries or suspensions. Over his career, Kane has amassed 617 points in 930 games. He's recorded 26 goals and 43 points in 76 playoff games. Edmonton seems like a great fit for Kane, but much like Buffalo and San Jose did initially, he's had numerous chances to turn things around, and I genuinely hope for his sake that he's committed to his role with the Oilers. However, when you consistently attract a certain type of trouble, it might suggest deeper issues. It's almost as if the energy that you put out into the world is the energy you attract. As Kane does get older, if the same problems continue to face him throughout his career, it's gonna keep raising the question of whether he's truly capable of change and forming genuine bonds with his teams. Who knows, it might only be a matter of time before he faces challenges in Edmonton as well. That point might age like milk, but stick with me for a minute. Might also age like nice, fine wine, who knows. If there's one thing I learned from making this video, it's that Kane has a pattern of seemingly figuring things out with a new team before eventually facing setbacks again, becoming a quote-unquote changed man every few years before crashing out but not quite burning all the way. Now, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. To Oilers fans, hockey fans, and even Kane critics, what do you think is going to happen with Kane going forward? Will the cycle continue, or will we finally get to hear about Evander Kane the hockey player, rather than his controversy surrounding him away from the rink?